All right, so I'm Dixie McCurley, and I have been branded myself a long time ago the Queen of CAS. One reason for that is that I absolutely love the CAS practice, and so I never really identified as a tax and audit type person, but I love helping clients. So my number one goal in my career is to put myself in the client's shoes and give them what they need. With that, I recently, in the last 2 years, have been at Cherry Beckert after 10 years of building my own CAS practice. And so it's one of my, what I'm passionate about right now is helping firms change and grow into advisory. So that is what you'll hear from me during this session is how to become an advisor and how to do it in your CAS practice.
Good morning, Nicole Ksiazek. I am with Sage. And I'm also a recovering accountant, I like to call myself. So I was in practice for 20 years working on outsourcing. And what our firm did was we standardized our tech stack on Sage Intacct. And I was with a smaller firm of 100. We were then acquired by a top 5 firm. I stayed there for 2 years during the transition, and then I moved over to the vendor side to help other accounting firms and BPOs utilize Sage Intacct to power their outsourcing practice.
Go ahead. Hello. Hi, everybody. I'm Kristina Olesko, also from Sage. I'm part of the payments and banking team at Sage. So part of my role is working on the go-to-market strategy for our fintech partners. I take care of the relationship for ExpensiCon. So thank you so much for having me here. I've been in payments and banking for over 17 years. So if you're moving money in, out, around, wherever, spending it, processing it, I have a lot of information and experience with that. I don't know if this gives me any street cred. I was a bookkeeper for 6 years, so didn't use Sage though. But yeah, happy to be here.
So Chip Mahan, I'm the global head of fintech and payments and banking at Sage. What that means is it's kind of a grandiose title. It doesn't mean a whole lot. It doesn't mean I'm really smart, but I am a subject matter expert in the area of fintech. I don't have an accounting background, so I'm not a halfway bookkeeper. Matter of fact, I failed accounting in college. But anyway, glad to be here, glad to talk to you about what we're doing in our partnership with companies like ExpensiCon.
All right, so I wanted to talk today about CAS-ify your practice. Given we're here with ExpensiCon, how do you CAS-ify your practice? There's really three things that I think about in CAS-ify your practice, and I have listened to industry thought leaders throughout over the last 12 years for sure. And I'll start with number one. So number one, in terms of the number one rule of CAS, is definitely industry focus. I have never been able to help advise a client when I did not know their industry. So I do not know manufacturing, except for I had a little bit of experience when I was at an old firm a long time ago on build of materials. How do you do that? How do you convert a big vat of stuff into small things that you sell in little squirt bottles? That whole analysis on that is completely different than the family office space. And so when I learned about family office, I realized, wow, motorized vehicles like yachts and four-wheelers on vacation home properties and all of that is very important to them. And so their receipts for vacuum cleaners, when they have a house manager who buys 4 vacuum cleaners in 1 month, there's usually something wrong there. And so I always wanted to catch, why are we buying 4 vacuum cleaners? So should vacuum cleaners go on a fixed assets listing for your personal financial statements? Maybe not, but for the asset of a vacation home, it's pretty relevant, right? So industry by industry, we always have, I think, been very reactive to say, oh, how much was spent? Let me just record it to wherever. So with family office today, when I'm looking at the industry of that, they care about things like spending on their stylists And so they want to know how much do they spend on stylists and barbers and clothing. And I had a client last week talk about, wow, I need a budget for my clothing. And he goes, maybe I'll take your client assessment, Dixie, and that $15,000, I'll just next time I buy a new car, I won't spend that much on it. And so family office is a lot different than all of my hospitality clients because they care a whole lot about food costs. And so when we look at items and we look at ExpensiCon, et cetera, and we look at how do you track all of that, we're trying to do things differently, but you've got to be able to do it by industry. And so I say no to a lot of industries. And so I'll jump down to my third point really quickly is when I worked with some tech partners, one of the things over a 10-year practice that I built in CAS was they said, Dixie, you've got 13 industries. And so what do you all think about that? Is that a lot? They're like, that's a lot. And wanted to cut it down. And so I was able to cut it down to 8. And that's too much, right? So then I cut it down, I tried to cut it down to 3. And so in the last 5 years of the practice that I started, my first CAS practice, those 3 were actually where finally I felt the hum of a CAS practice. And so to CAS-ify your practice, number 1 rule of CAS is industry niche. And so my industry niche became restaurants because I had a go-to-market strategy and I went and talked to every restaurant, I felt like, in Georgia. So there are 300 and something members of the Georgia Restaurant Association. So when you started talking to them, all of a sudden they told you what was important. And so how you count inventory and how steaks don't walk out the back of the restaurant, security cameras become very important. And so the timing of all of that becomes interesting. I also learned about drive-thrus, that the drive-through clock on a fast food restaurant is actually some of the most important data that's out there. And so to be able to advise a client that you need to stand outside your restaurant and watch for drive-offs and count those, you get your general managers to do things differently. So then what does a general manager dashboard look like for a restaurant client? Well, it's different for restaurants for a quick service, right, versus fine dining. So you've got to go even narrower on your industry niche. We have all the data. Your CAS practice has all the data that you need to put it all together. But if you're doing it across family office differently than you're doing it across a health tech company, differently than you're doing it for a manufacturer and also for the restaurants, you're never going to be able to become an advisor. And so I have listened to Tom Hood with the T-shaped professional about the soft skills and the deep industry knowledge, and it is so true. So in the last 2 years, in hiring 27 people in my CAS practice, I have hired industry experts. And so talking about the staff that we've got to do in the CAS practice, it's no longer produce a financial statement. That is called bookkeeping to me, and it's called reactive, and it's called historical. And so how do we shift from a reactive mindset into a proactive mindset? Well, you know immediately when 4 vacuums are purchased, you know what to do with that. Somebody approved that, the house manager, and some family members that weren't family members got new vacuum cleaners because it had been happening. But we got to the item, we got it coded, we watched it, and then we've trended it. And so you can't do that across different ones. So I think that the staff part of this, the most important thing are soft skills. And I took a course called Selling Through Curiosity many, many years ago. And that course is not about selling. That is about advisory work. It's about having a conversation to collaborate with your client. When you know what your client wants and you tell them back what they just told you, and then you put some data behind it, and then you say, oh, out of my 50 other restaurant clients, the cost of goods sold there is never over 25%, and yours is 39%, they start to listen to you. And they go, how can I get it down? So you have to get to the food vendor, then you have to get to the price of that. And when they go, how much do other food vendors, how much do they pay for beef? and you have that kind of information, clients are never going to leave you, and they're not going to talk about how much it costs for CAS. So a big part of that of your staff are the soft skills to ask the questions. So that's really my big thing on staff, is that we're no longer bill by the hour type of firm. And so I had to study, what does a managed service provider do? It took me back to my days at Earthlink, the #2 internet service provider at the time. They were a call center. We were one of the best in the nation call centers. So we're the same thing now in your CAS practice. When I analyzed the metrics of a CAS practice several years ago, we had 60 calls, requests, touch, emails, etc., per person per client. And so when I see this chat feature that they've looked at today, I'm like, yeah, that's where we are. We're a managed service provider of when the client needs it. And that's what I'm helping my firm realize now, is that we are living in the day-to-day accounting operations of our clients, and we've got to be there on call to have capacity to be able to take it. So your staff has to learn how to manage that differently than, hey, I've got 3 hours to work on a tax return today and 3 hours to work on the next one and the next one. It never ends in CAS. It's every day, every client you're assigned to, and you better do it by industry niche, and your staff better be experts at it. With that, we now have to rely on our technology. And so if you don't have a strategy map with your technology partner, that is just not the way to go. And like I said, when I had 13 industry niches and I could not make money and I was just drowning in everything and cut it to 8 and then cut it to 3, it was like these cylinders. If you walk around, you see all these beans and cylinders across the property. Where could I have added 50 more clients without adding any staff? My #1 industry niche. But if I had added another client in another niche, I couldn't have done it. So the strategy of putting out ideas to our technology partners, they are our partners. When you have a partner, you have to have relationship. You have to have collaboration. So it was so great yesterday, the one-on-one meeting that I had with Ryan, to talk about the importance of the item code to connect from ExpensiCon into Intacct, the way we group all of that, so that I can run 4 different versions of reports, one for my tax guy, one for my management side, one for ops, and then one for the CEO who likes to see it differently than the CFO and our clients. So those are the 3 ways that I see to CAS-ify your CAS practice, to CAS-ify your CPA firm practice, definitely industry niche, get your staff to do things other than accounting, learn how to have a conversation, and work with your technology partners to share. A lot of times, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, et cetera, we didn't share our rate per hour. We didn't share our number of clients and any of that. So I'm happy to have any of those conversations with you today, because I think that if we share that type of stuff about how we've been able to add over 77 clients in less than a year and a half, and how we've been able to go from 0 to 27 employees, like, that's really important stuff. We should all be sharing, like, how do you do it? And so that's the community to me that our technology partners are bringing us all together as a CAS expert. So that's how to CAS-ify your CAS practice.
Go to the next slide. Well, question I ask myself a lot is, what's happening in finance and technology today? And that's something I spend literally every day trying to answer. And there's 3 things that I think that are important for the folks, including myself in this room, when I think about that. And the first is, we're seeing this huge global digital transformation that's happening around the world, where we have connected customers and connected businesses. They're expecting things to work seamlessly for them, and they don't. There's a lot of complexity in that, if you know what I mean. And what really came to mind when I was hearing the keynote speech yesterday was this whole concept of trusted advisors. Many in this room that have accounting practices are that trusted advisor to the client. And they're expecting, as this complexity continues to evolve, that the accounting practices continue to evolve, and that you become that bridge as the trusted advisor to your clients and to our clients to be able to help them simplify this complexity. And the third thing that I would say that I think about is, customers and businesses are looking for seamless integrations. Integrations like we have with ExpensiCon that solve for the day-to-day work jobs that they have to do day in and day out. They're not looking for things that can be bolted on to their accounting software. They want all that technology to work seamlessly in a single platform for them to help them manage the work to be done. Ryan, if you go to the next slide. So what is Sage doing about this? Well, one of the things that we're doing is we're trying to simplify that complexity of that digital transformation that's happening and based on the demands of the customers. And how we've done that is we've just launched, for example, as we evolve, a new platform called FinTech Partners Plus Tier, which basically is a long-winded way of saying a preferred partner. These are our hero solutions that we are building integrations to solve the day-to-day complexity that I mentioned. And how are we doing that? And what is a preferred partner? Someone like ExpensiCon, somebody that we've actually validated and vetted through a very internal, rigorous process. One, to make sure the application does exactly what it's supposed to do, that there is a seamless integration that happens, and we put them through a risk and security review as well so that we know that we can make them a preferred recommended partner. The second thing that means is they also have net promoter scores of top customer support and reviews. And the third thing is that they have the ability and have a proven track record of being able to scale. Scale based on what the customer's demands are. And the last thing is, like ExpensiCon and spend management, is that they're a market leader in their vertical. All those things help make up the partners that we put into this preferred partner program and that we recommend as solutions for our to integrate to their accounting software. And so specifically how we do that, you may be familiar that Sage goes to market by vertical. And within every single vertical, there are jobs to be done. And with every vertical and sub-vertical, the jobs to be done, there are data and workflows that have to happen, and they have to happen seamlessly. And they span beyond what the Sage accounting core software does. So the way we solve for that is we actually go out and we recruit fintechs in the space for financial services to integrate into our accounting software to solve for those jobs to be done. This is more of an illustrative picture on the slide. Don't expect you to read it. But the inner circle are really the customer segment. That middle circle, this is part of the solution maps we create for every single one of our products in every single geo. That middle circle are the jobs to be done, things like HR and payroll, embedded finance, risk tools, payments, so payments acceptance on the AR side or supplier payments on the AP side. And all these integrations have to happen seamlessly. And that outer ring that you're seeing there are our preferred partners. They are the solution for every one of those jobs that have to be done and how they integrate and support through our accounting software at Sage. Really what this does is it provides a very detailed roadmap and blueprint for our partners that are resellers, both our direct sales and indirect sales. So for VARs, accounting practices, and the like, gives them a roadmap to create simplicity in this very complex environment of fintech and accounting. And the end result really is, one, this meets our strategy as a business, but more importantly, it creates the simplicity around that complexity for you to become that trusted advisor to your customers. I heard Joe Woodard say yesterday in the fireside chat, you know, CAS practices don't have the time to go out and figure out all this complexity that's happening in the fintech and accounting world. And they need help, and that's what Sage is doing by creating these types of solution maps that give you the ammunition to go in front of your customer and know that these are branded hero solutions that we're recommending as part of the jobs to be done in their business. Kristina?
So part of my job at Sage is standing up this plus tier program. ExpensiCon is one of our plus tier partners, and we have different buckets, AP, AR, expense management, and people like ExpensiCon that do a little bit of everything. So part of my job is trying to make easy tools, and I work very closely with Nicole Ksiazek. Nicole works with Dixie, and we have a line of communication going on from you. So some of those talk tracks is, how do we take the guesswork out of working with tech partners? Again, at the keynote, David was talking about, I think he used some really colorful language. I won't use that unless you want me to. I have no problem with that. But There's so many. And we're the specialists in payments, but how do you navigate who does what well, who specializes in what vertical? You know, you work in construction, like who's really good at that? So part of my job is working really, really closely with our partners and putting them to work, putting them to task, taking your feedback, working with Nicole, and vetting them. So this is part of the vetting process that we're going through. So I wanted to go over this session is all about how do you use your tech partners. And we've created something really cool. And I wanted to kind of go through some of the things that we're doing with a plus to your partner. Because at the end of the day, these benefit you. So I'm going to go through each bucket and just give you a little bit of a talk track on what we've done there. So corporate marketing, internal marketing, meetups, marketplace, and then global reach. So for corporate marketing, we're Sage. We have huge reach. Working with our teams to get you and our partners visibility is key. So for example, a webinar. So what we're looking to do is take our partners and even co-host something. Pick a topic. Tell your partner account managers under Nicole, what is something that's important to you right now? Let's do a webinar. We'll put it on social media, we'll get the reach, you can share it, and then you provide value to your clients. So what we're trying to do is gather our reach, work with our partner account managers, and provide value to you. Another thing too, internal marketing. So this is really big. There is so much information. ExpensiCon can do so many things, and our job is to create tools. So 2 types of tools. One is a one-pager that is for you. This is for the partner account managers to give to you. And this cuts the BS. This is what they do. This is the region they're in. This is the timeline they're gonna do it. And what are some things coming down the pipe? Now, in order to figure out which partner to use for what, these tools are really key. We have a lot of the times our customers are coming to us and they're like, well, I have this client that does XYZ, can you do that? What we want to do is give the tools to your partner account manager so that they can navigate these conversations with you. The other piece is an end user piece. So you've decided that ExpensiCon is the partner, but your client wants to know a little bit more about this partner, and they want to know what it looks like in Sage Intacct. So the goal is to provide a one-pager that you can then put in your customer's hands. Now this helps navigate having to know everything about all the partners. So we're going to help you with that. And then we're creating demos in Sage Intacct showing ExpensiCon in action. This is like a quick and dirty 2 to 5 minutes that you can even give to your customer to show them what it looks like. And then also meetups. So this is where we're like getting back together. We actually did one with ExpensiCon in Washington, D.C. Post-COVID, everyone was very excited to get together. I think we got about 20, 25 firms together. ExpensiCon co-hosted with another plus-tier partner of ours, and it was great. I think actually it was quite lucrative for ExpensiCon. Yep. Yeah. But it also gets you networking. So we're helping to enable that to get you back together as well. And then also marketplace. So has any of you guys go to our marketplace for Sage Intacct? Yeah? So you might have noticed a couple changes. There's some recommended solution banners on there. So if you go right to our homepage, if you're wondering what that is, that's our plus tier partners. So we are recommending them due to our vetting process. They are one of our plus tech partners, and we have them right on our homepage, and this provides really great visibility for our plus tier partners, but it also takes the guesswork out of who to pick and who to chat with. Another thing too is global. So ExpensiCon wants to go globally. I'm learning all about CAS, which has been wonderful. But the thing is, it's trusted advisors. So what would happen is ExpensiCon comes to us and they're like, Kristina, we want to go global. What do we do? So that's where we step in and we provide them the steps. We work as a team to figure out how to market them in all these different regions. The reason why I'm going over this is because this is what we're building in order to enable our fintech partners, but then also helps enable you and then provide value to your customers. Next slide. So what does this mean to you? Like I mentioned, visibility. This is big. There's too many partners to navigate. You can't learn them all. What we want to do is ensure you know the ones. If you're a Sage Intacct user, which ones are the best ones? Which ones do we promote? And then why are they great? When Chip was talking about solution mapping, this is helping Nicole's team to be able to advise you. So I'm here to support Nicole's team. I'm here to support ExpensiCon, but it's a sharing of knowledge. So it makes it easier for her team to provide you useful guidance and solution mapping. And then if you have more questions or you have very unique business cases, then I can help address which partner will help. And then I think the biggest thing, like I had mentioned before, is what can we do to provide you value, and then also that you can invite your customers to. So this was, net new customer acquisition, providing value to your existing clients. So through all these resources, and hopefully with your feedback, and I can't stress this enough, if you have a really great idea, there's something you would like to see from FinTech, or you want to host a webinar, there's a great topic, tell your partner account manager, and then we will have a conversation on how we can bring that to life. Cool. On to Nicole.
Great, thank you, Kristina. So I'm going to be talking about SIAP and CPA firms and how it equals success. So if we go to the next slide. So the Sage Intacct Accountants Program was developed 14 years ago in conjunction with CPA.com when we became their preferred financial application. So what does that mean? That means that they helped us to develop a program that would allow us to have Sage Intacct be utilized by the accounting firms and business process outsourcers to power their outsourcing business. So what we did there is we have 3 specific areas where we work with our accounting and BPO partners. First of all, we have a single console. So this is a place where you can go as a firm with your staff and you can access all of your clients from one place. How many right now have accountants and you have clients and you have different logins for different systems across your accountants? So maybe a show of hands here. A few? Okay. Excellent. And what this does is this allows you to have a uniform place to have permissions for your staff and then also be able to use some standardization across your client base. Next, training and support. So what we have here is we have the partner account managers that Kristina mentioned, where they are working with the accounting partners to try to help you grow and scale your business. Because if you think about it, you're selling your outsourcing services, you're selling your advisory services powered by Sage Intacct. We're there to help you determine that whether it's an industry that you're deciding on or whether it's specific technology that you would like to enhance the Sage Intacct experience, we can help you to decide what that looks like for your clients. And finally, we have a robust community that shares. So next week, right after this wonderful event, I'm moving on to Las Vegas for our Partner Summit event, where we're going to be hosting. Yes, anybody else going to Partner Summit? There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
But an example of one of the sessions that we're going to have there is challenges and opportunities in a CAS practice powered by Sage Intacct. So we have our partners break up into different groups to say, what is the challenge that you're facing right now? And they collaborate on ways that they can solve those challenges. Some of our SIAP partner members are here. Raise your hand if you're an SIAP partner member. There we go, thank you. So I would encourage anybody who is not to maybe talk to them during the cocktail hour, during the event this evening, to ask them about their experience. But we have, as I said, an enablement process because many people even come to us and say, I'm starting down the road of CAS. It's not just I'm starting down the road of Sage Intacct and I picked a technology. I'm starting down the road of CAS. What I'm going to say as part of this collaboration with your tech vendors is utilize them as you're growing your business. So one action item I have for you, whether you're with Sage, whether you're with another technology vendor, even with ExpensiCon, if you have an account manager or if you have a connection at your tech vendor, call them up and ask them what you're not doing, what resource you're not utilizing right now that you may be able to utilize to make your practice better. Dixie and I were talking, and we're going to have a little chat, but if she were to call me and say, what are we not doing right now, I could go through potentially, not for your practice, but for any practice. Are you going to the Barry Ryan course? Have you signed up for Sage University? Have you signed into the community so that you can collaborate with other partners? You know, we have these scorecards for our partners, and we know if they're not engaging in certain areas, then it's possible that they are not feeling successful. David Barrett even said yesterday that ExpensiCon sees churn because the firms and end users do not actively engage with ExpensiCon. What I'd like to say is I would prefer to hear about what industries you're considering rather than the fact that you chose an industry and now you want our help. Because we might be able to help guide you in certain ways to say, based on what we're seeing across our partner base, these are some considerations that you may want to think about as you're going down that path. So now Dixie and I are going to have a little chat. We're calling it a fireside chat, but we don't have a candle or a fire, but that's okay.
It's not warm in here.
Right, it's not warming.
We need a fire.
Does anybody else like that radiating heat panel that they have in the rooms? Have you seen them? Yes, I love that. So, but Dixie and I have actually known each other for a few years. I'm going to say probably 10 to 15 years, if we go back that far. We've known each other as fellow practitioners, and then I was her account manager, and now she's moved on to a different practice, so a lot has evolved, but we just wanted to go over a few discussion items to see how you have utilized your tech vendors over the years as you are growing your practice, moving over to another practice, and then trying to scale that practice.
Well, unfortunately for me, I learned the hard way afterwards, right? So when I initially signed up for the SIAP program, there was so much there that was really absolutely incredible. And the one thing that I did not take advantage of was the help in implementation. So having implemented 35 different systems before, over hundreds of clients, I thought, oh, Sage Intacct would be easy. And I spent over 450 hours integrating Sage Intacct with Avalara and Salesforce and like ExpensiCon, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so that first learning for me was I learned the hard way that if only I'd used the 30 to 40 hours that was available from the tech partner, I probably could have saved several hundred hours. There was a good part about that too. And so what was the question? The question is, how did I use the program?
How do you use your tech partners? Yes.
The tech partners. And I've already mentioned another part of narrowing down the industry niche. And so to me, in meeting with Kevin Cumley and you, when you came into our office to talk about what that looked like, and Brian Champ also, we learned that doing it over 15, 13, 8, et cetera, industries was not good. And so I was not actually doing the advisory part. Another part of that was that we're able to see that while we are in a package for one client like SB3 as an example, you get other modules there. And so why are you not using those other modules? They're able to help us do all of that. Another big part are the online trainings, and so the office hours have been incredible. Over the years, attending the office hours to hear people like Nicole and people like a lot of people over the years, I learned what a smart alert was. And so I don't know if any of you know what a smart alert is in Intacct. Kate, you do?
I do all the time for my customers.
Yeah, all the time. So it really revolutionized the way that when I teach a 2-day workshop for CPA.com, when I would come back from that, teaching that, I'd used to have a line out of my office of people asking me questions. And what happened was that the smart alerts that we set up, you got alerted before things happen. So imagine if someone's added a general ledger code called deferred compensation, and it's actually not deferred compensation, it's just something they didn't pay their general manager because they were shy on cash. So that would have gotten added. What'd you say, Kate?
No, I'm sorry. It's actually smart alert is the actual code you're using, but it's called in Sage Intacct Technology smart event.
Smart event. Smart event and smart alerts, right? No? Smart event and smart alerts. So I got smart to use smart alerts and smart events from Nicole to say, hey, here's what's been added. Another thing we did is that intercompany accounting didn't balance for a lot of our clients occasionally because they didn't know how to do things. So the whole part about CAS-ify your practice is that we need to do it on behalf of our clients because it's actually very techy. So you don't want to do things that blow up your clearing accounts and your agings, et cetera. So I turned on smart alerts for everything. So when I had an intercompany out of balance, I got alerted immediately, so we stopped it and fixed it. If general journal was done to any of the agings, smart alert fixed it. If any new code had been added, smart alert fixed it. Any new item had been added, smart alert fixed it, so that all of our reports tied. And so just listening to the partners is where I learned some of the major things that have been able to scale and profit. So that's the big part about, for me, scale and profit.
All right, so my next question, you said that you were onboarding 27 employees this past year. Many times when you are scaling and growing your business, you try to put training plans together and you're thinking, how in the world am I going to get my staff up to speed with upskilling them, technology, marketing, and doing some of those things. So what I'm going to say here is that we have training plans for our partners, and I would ask you that if you have other tech vendors, they probably also have training plans, so you can almost develop your training plan by talking to your tech vendors to say, okay, what do I need, what do you have available, what certifications? So Dixie, to that effect, how have you been using some of the certifications and other training with your tech vendors to help your team of 27?
Yeah, so putting together the training plan, we do 3 areas. The first part is accounting, technical accounting. So how can they become better accountants, know where all the debits and credits go. The next part are soft skills, and then the third part is technology. And so I use all of our partners for all of their training courses and want all of them to be certified. So I heard yesterday about an ExpensiCon certification, which I just didn't know yet because we've been growing so fast. Ryan just told me yesterday that we just added 10 clients into ExpensiCon, and that was another surprise. We're growing so fast. I'm like, woo, my team is not trained and certified, but they're going to be. So it is an ongoing battle to create the chief learning officer mentality inside our CAS practice. And so we're working with our learning department to take advantage of all the trainings that are out there. So I want all of my team to get credit for it and put together those plans. Technology is changing every 6 months, and so I used to know everything about Sage Intacct. I mean, I knew absolutely everything, and now I can barely navigate around it because I never do that anymore. And so I have to bring my team to collaborate, so they have to be certified. So when I ask questions like what Kate just said, are we talking about a smart event, or are we talking about a smart alert? How do you all do it? We can't add it fast enough right now because they're not trained on it. So we must put them through the onboarding part. So we have a 30-day onboarding and a 90-day onboarding for all of our team members. And it's all about using the tech product. So picking the tech stack, making sure we have people who are trained in it is a big part. So we have 2 different parts of our practices. We use 2 different products on that, and we want to bring in the experts on that. So it's really lovely when we see that there's a certified person that I can hire. So this is a big part of right now. I only want to hire those that are certified. And then if they're not, put them through the certification programs really quickly, because they have aha moments. And so they don't just learn it without the experience of it. So after they go through the training, it is all about the follow-up. It's all about sending them back through it after they've got experience. And so, you know, things today take 10 minutes to do, but I always go, it's 10 minutes plus 10 years of experience to know how to do it in 10 minutes. So you've got to keep them trained, and go through the program is a really wonderful way to do it. Hold them accountable for it.
All right, and my final question. Many people are talking about their go-to-market plan, and I'm sure even as your firm, you have a marketing plan, a go-to-market plan, what clients you want to reach, what type of clients, what size of clients. So, Dixie, how are you using your tech vendors to work on your go-to-market plan?
I'll try not to make this too long of an answer, because this is one area I'm really passionate about right now. We have great growth goals at Cherry Bekaert, and so they brought me in to build a CAS practice from scratch 2 years ago. Luckily, they allowed me 6 to 12 months to plan it out and build a new business model for a CAS practice that worked in this organization. And with that, they were all about what is our go-to-market strategy. So we brought in Sage Intacct. Brian Champ came to Atlanta. We talked about which industries. We analyzed Cherry Bekaert's existing clients, of the 30,000 clients that we have, which ones would be perfect for CAS and which ones should we start with first. And so they then also taught me a go-to-market strategy to go to I went to 12 cities over 12 weeks, and I met with every relationship partner that had an industry niche that we had picked. So we picked 3. We picked hospitality, real estate, and another one which we're not using. We picked not-for-profit. So after interviewing all of them about what are the CAS opportunities, with Tampa, I put $1.8 million into the pipeline with potential opportunities, because I went down every single client of every single relationship partner. So all of a sudden, I'm the best user in CRM at our firm, right? And then they go, pipeline, whoa, okay, what's happening? So then I gamified every city that I went to. So I put it on a dashboard of which relationship partners gave me the most work. And the ones that said that, oh, the one who has the largest accounting write-up practice is not going to give you the work, because, you know, that's her work, it's her book of business. What's so funny is she gave me the most. So to realize that it's not bookkeeping what we're doing in CAS, it's actually so much more about what the clients need than just the compliance part of it. I put $21 million into our pipeline with the go-to-market strategy that I created with all of our different tech partners, our partners at the firm, and executive leadership. With that, we've closed a lot of those. So the growth part of that has been tremendous. Having a go-to-market strategy right now, we're looking at how can we also take our, what happened with the tax that just happened. Everybody who extended, we're now going to do a go-to-market on the CAS people of every tax partner that had to file an extension for their clients. Why? Why do they have to? So those are great CAS potentials, but they've got to be in the industry niche. And so when you have that focus and when you have those relationship partners that have those industry niches, that's where we've been able to grow. So we have done almost zero marketing externally for CAS, even though that's where for 10 years I had the biggest struggle. So that's what's been really fun, is that we have a captive audience of clients at the firm. We just have to go and introduce ourselves to them and have that go-to-market strategy using all these tools. So I loved everything you did there, Kristina. I'm like, oh, I use that. I go into High Spot. I use all of that. And then I think it's a little bit like you've got to have it available when you need it. It's not you go and do a sales overview. It's when they ask a question, you're so fast to get them what they want to see visually, or do a demo. I don't even have to do demos anymore because of all the materials, but the go-to-market plan with the tech partners, they will help you create that and all the sales strategy around it.